Patriotism. The dictionary defines it as love, devotion, and a sense of attachment to one's country or homeland. If asked, would you lay down your life for your country? Well, some would hesitate. Others would even walk away. But for the Rwanda Patriotic Army, this was not a question they thought twice about. The mission was clear: stop the genocide and rescue the victims at all costs. Now for some, that cost was their very life. The essence of patriotism lies in a willingness to sacrifice for one's country. But picture a scenario where, though patriotic, you are persecuted and forced to flee your country, and your return denied on claims that the country you love is full and cannot accommodate any more people. As ridiculous as it sounds, this was a reality for many Rwandans who had been forced to seek refuge in neighboring countries and beyond, fleeing targeted killings and persecution that began in 1959. Many Rwandan refugees desired to go back to their country and take part in its development and growth. This desire birthed the liberation struggle that started on the 1st of October 1990, led by the Rwanda Patriotic Army that was founded by the Rwanda Patriotic Front.
This refugee period, like from 1959 up to 1990, when the liberation struggle started on 1st of October 1990, the Rwandan refugees had really suffered enough of the hell that they thought the only heaven is in their country. That the only very best they can ever get or give to their parents as a reward is going back to their country. So each fight, each order, each task, each insurmountable task, it only and only made them better, that they thought this is now the last nail to achieve what we really dreamt of. Because their parents used to tell them that Rwanda is a country of 1,000 hills, a country that has milk and honey. But the kids would always ask, why are we not going back to this country of 1,000 hills? So they had that love and felt like, no, we need to go. We need to go, but the parents would tell them, yeah, it's a country of 1,000 hills, it has that milk and honey, but the politics of divisive ethnicity that had really prevented us going back home is still there. So we need to liberate Rwanda, liberate ourselves, and then make it to the country. And that's why when we will enjoy living in this country of 1,000 hills. So from this period, and the harsh conditions they had stayed in for a long period of time, 30 years is not something, it's a generation. And then you get the chance that now you have the skills, you've got the leader who has that immense sense of patriotism, who feels like, well, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. A heavy statement that meant that they were ready to lose their very lives to liberate the country, if that is what it took. On December 28, 1993, RPF politicians arrived at CND, the current parliamentary building, with the intention of establishing the broad-based transitional government as envisioned by the Arusha Accords. A 600-man RPA battalion was tasked with protecting the RPF politicians. The parliamentary building became a significant site in the liberation struggle.
This same parliamentary building hosted the Rwanda Patriotic Front politicians and the 600-man battalion force as they were in the preparations for the installation of the broad-based transition government and the National Transition Assembly according to the Arusha peace talks. And these peace talks had put in place 5 protocols, mainly the protocol of rule of law, power sharing, then repatriation and resettlement of refugees, then the reintegration of the army into one force of the nation, then miscellaneous and other factors. And all these protocols were signed on 4th of August 1993. So the politicians and the 600-man battalion force were here to implement. That's why the museum is located in this parliamentary building.
If walls could talk, the bullet-riddled parliamentary building walls could tell of the struggle and bravery of the 600-man battalion as they carried out an explicit order by the RPA chairman of High Command, now President Paul Kagame.
The chairman, RPA High Command, Major General Paul Kagame, on 7th of April, around 3 p.m. at Mulindi in 1994, decided to give out the order, which was clear: stop genocide, defeat genocidia forces, and rescue victims of genocide. And then this order he gave specifically had a strategic end state, which was to see a situation whereby genocide is stopped, genocidal government overthrown, and peace restored throughout the country. And this order specifically had specific objectives that included the Rwanda Patriotic Army linking up with the 3rd Battalion here, which was completely isolated from the rest of the other forces that were stationed in the north. And then the second objective was to capture key enemy positions so as to weaken them, to stop them from going on a rampage doing the killings, or supervising and supporting the militias who were doing the killings around the country. And then another objective was conduct many rescue operations to try and save as many as possible targeted victims of genocide during the time, and then defeat the government forces and the militias who were doing these killings.
Holding their ground while armed with only light weapons and surrounded by thousands of genocidal forces was no mean feat for the battalion.
The 600-man battalion force, which was here, I told you was only a protection force. A protection force now is given an order to break out from their initial positions, given 3 tasks. 1, contain the advancing genocidia forces to this building and the militias. Secondly, rescue victims of genocide in your vicinity. 3rd, hold the ground and protect the politicians who are here. And as you rescue these victims of genocide, you also need to take care of them. Like you move them from a situation where they can be hurt by the bullets, that is the area of the battle, but also try and give them the first aid necessary so that they can be now moved from this area to safer areas. And this is a task you are giving to 600-man battalion force here as a protection force, not a fighting force. Normally, militarily, there is a way you equip a fighting force and there is a way you equip a protection force. So now you are telling these 600-man battalion force to break out, and they are going to engage between 8,000 to 12,000 soldiers. You are talking of the presidential camp, you are talking of the gendarme, you are talking of Camp Kam, you are talking of Kankigari, you are talking of Kakanombe, you are talking of the paracommandos from the airport, and you are talking about the long-range artilleries being shared across the mountains of Kigali. You are talking of Mount Kigali, you are talking of Mount Lebero, you are talking of Shorongi, Jari, you are talking of Gikomero, you are talking of Kabuye. All these mountains surrounded and actually controlled Kigali. And then, all of a sudden, you tell the 600 to break out. So, first and foremost, what do you think is running through the 600-man battalion force? And they do this. And really, they had to break out and contain the advancing genocidia forces for a period of 4 days until they link up and reinforcement of the other forces.
After the death of Major General Fred Rwigema, General Paul Kagame took over as the RPA chairman of High Command. He, however, found demoralized soldiers who were losing to the enemy after the death of their commander.
In a camouflage, he arrived at the struggle. Guess what he found? The young boys and girls who had lost everything. Lost the commander in Fred Gisarujema, who were losing battles in clinical and typical places they had earlier captured in the first week of the liberation struggle, who had lost morale, where there are no supplies, no medicine, casualties, government enjoying success using long-range artilleries, helicopters, supported by the external forces. That is the image, and those are the people he found there. The first word was, we don't think we are going to defeat this enemy. What he said, just change your mind. Your cause for the struggle is better off than the strengths the enemy has. These harsh conditions of the refugee camps in 30 years, secondly, bringing out how the struggle evolved, third, to bring out how this insurmountable fire was to them in the first phase of the liberation struggle, and how lucky they were to have the chairman of High Command, Major General Paul Kagame, as their commander, and who had that love for his nation and for his people. It was easier for him to instigate this sense of patriotism into his fighters, and then it becomes easier for them to deliver what they have in their heart, because everything starts with the heart. And I want to quote this, that it is not the weapon, it's not the number, it's the man behind the weapon. And when they talk of the man behind the weapon, they don't talk of a tall man, they don't talk of a short man, a stocky one, they are just talking about what have you instigated in him.
The RPA soldiers also had the difficult task of rescuing the targeted victims of the genocide.
You would even be having information that your family is under danger. But that is not your axis of advance. You are not even allowed, you are a commander, you are not even allowed to have a force to go to the other side for that. Because each targeted victim of genocide is equal to the other. So it's not saving my mom, it's not saving your uncle, it's saving the targeted victims of genocide.
Though they also lost their loved ones in the genocide against the Tutsi, the RPA soldiers had strict orders not to revenge.
You saved, let's say, 600 people, 400 people, but you found out that your mother, your father, your brothers are all killed. And you end up even realizing that those who killed them are still around. You see them. You have a gun, you have a magazine full of bullets, but the order of the chairman says, no revenge. How do you hold that? Apart from having that heart, how do you hold that? So it required that sense of patriotism, that outstanding value of patriotism to do this.
32 years post-liberation, Rwanda's transformation is remarkable, shifting from the devastating tragedy that was the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi into a model of resilience, visionary leadership, as well as social and economic growth. Museums like the Campaign Against Genocide not only serve as a reminder of our history, but also tell a story of the true cost of patriotism.
When you have a museum like this one, first and foremost, it's the most visited museum in the country. We are now receiving more than 120,000 per year, and a large number is the youth. So that means this museum is a cornerstone in itself as something that really serves to help young generations to understand their history, so that what happened should not happen again, like never again. When you really see them walk through the museum, you can tell every room they get to, you see them climbing ladders and ladders and ladders, saying that really what happened should not happen. So it's one of the best things we can have with this museum. Secondly, you have been seeing those who deny and deny genocide with hate speech all over the region, spillovers, and all over the world where you see them. So museums like these ones come up with facts to the world. So it becomes easier to tell these people who deny of what happened when they really walk through here. So it serves as really a pillar and a significance into the liberation of our country.